What up, everybody? Colton Corp back again with another video. This one's gonna be another top 10 video. This one's gonna be not a top 10 in a positive way. I'm tired of being positive on this channel. Right now, we're gonna get negative. So this is gonna be a top 10 worst PS4 games of all time. This will be just out of my collection. So any games that maybe have heard of, like Life of Black Tiger, or some of the more infamous bad games like Anthem, I won't be covering because I don't have them in my collection personally. So there's mainly two rules for this top 10. One, I've had to play it, and two, I can't do a bunch of sports games because I play a lot of sports games. There's a lot of bad ones like the 2Ks and all that. I'm going to limit myself to one sports game and one game from each franchise. I'm going to first start off by showing you a picture of all my PS4 games. This will kind of let you know the pool of games I'm picking from, and you can kind of comment down below of which ones do you think out of my games that maybe should have been included in the list and which ones shouldn't have been taken out. Because this is more so has to be covering games that I've played, or else I don't know what I'm talking about. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so coming out at number 10. This game is one that probably on the list is the one I was most disappointed with when it came out. Just because playing through it, I was just reminded about how good the original three were and how not so good this one is. And that's Mass Effect Andromeda. So for those of you who don't know, this is a RPG game made by BioWare. It's a sci-fi based RPG and is very heavy on having decent gunplay mechanics for a third-person shooter. And the main thing is the story. My main gripe with this game is they kind of forced it open world. The original three Mass Effects were open world in the sense that there was a hub world, but it was very controlled, and there was branching paths that you could take in each quest that led to a bunch of different story options, different character relation options, but overall the planets were very linear. In my opinion, this helped keep the game all about the story, because every single time you were moving, you were doing a quest, you were searching for something, you were talking to an individual, it felt like you were really truly advancing the story and deepening your knowledge of the universe. In this game, the open world just kind of meant driving in the stupid Humvee Mako thing from the first one. Just, it could actually drive decently. But that being like 60% of the gameplay. Me being a 100%er in terms of I like to do all the side quests and stuff like that. I got all the vitality of the planets, which is like getting their life back on every single planet in this game. And it took forever. It was a lot of driving around. A lot of little tedious side quests like go here, kill this boss, go here, clear out this, go here, look for this. Like, it took kind of the Dragon Age Inquisition approach, which I don't think benefited Mass Effect at all. The reason why this is still not super high on my list is because the combat was actually really good in this game. I enjoyed it a lot. They kind of took a more fast-paced approach from the traditional games, but I think it worked with the game, and if they just put the linear stories and got rid of the open world concept for this game could have actually been pretty decent. The only other flaw is that the main story was really, really lackluster compared to the original three. It's kind of your subpar sci-fi adventure, but the main thing that kept me going to this game was the character side quests. Like you're learning about the characters more in your crew. Those quests were kind of in the original three Mass Effect style, where they were very linear quests that had a bunch of different paths you could take story-wise to get favors with the people in your crew or have them not like you. And the stories in that were really well done, and each of the individual like little planets or ship you went to help out, whoever you're looking to help out, really felt unique, and that was the Mass Effect I was looking for in this game, which I didn't get throughout the rest of this game. Overall, for me, really, it basically comes down to this game not living up nearly as much as the first three games, and the story being really lackluster, the driving mechanics being a heavy portion of the game, which is almost universally disliked in the first three games, and force of open world is mainly the big concern with me in this one. I'm hoping if they release another one that they kind of go back to the original three style. They can include the combat in this. The combat was great. That's one of the pluses, as I said before. But otherwise than that, very disappointing game. Alright, coming at number 9 is one of the early releases on the PS4, and that is Assassin's Creed Unity. During the initial rush of publishers trying to push out a bunch of games to capitalize on the PS4 being new, Assassin's Creed was one of the ones that kind of caught a wave. And that was from Black Flag, which was a release title, and then kind of just kept on going from there with Unity being the next. And this is one of those Ubisoft games that continues their bad rep of releasing games that are completely not polished and completely not finished, and then just being like, we'll patch it later. For those of you who played it recently and haven't played it when it first came out, you might be thinking, oh, this is a pretty decent Assassin's Creed game, pretty solid story, characters are alright, and I would agree with you there. But I played it when it first came out, and this game looked like this. It was a buggy mess. There was like skeletons of your characters when they're talking, you would fall through roofs all the time, and it just wasn't a good time. They also took out one of my favorite things in this game, which is the PvP multiplayer. The little hide-and-seek multiplayer that was in Black Flag and I think it was Brotherhood, and swapped it for a co-op one, which I don't mind the co-op. It's just Assassin's Creed is kind of easy as is, so adding another player just makes it even easier, and it's just nowhere near as good as the PvP. Otherwise than that, if you played this game recently or played it fully patched, it's a decent Assassin's Creed game. You're kind of getting what you expect from this game. It's just that, in my opinion, the story wasn't as good as other Assassin's Creed. I prefer ones like Black Flag to the original and Revelations. What mainly got this on my list at number 9 is how buggy this game was when I played it personally. For people who have played it recently, as I said, might be great. For me, was not. So that's what gets it on my list. And overall, it's a decent Assassin's Creed game. Probably one of the weaker stories, but still decent. I would say Black Flag 2 or Revelations would be the ones that you would want to get into if you're looking for the story. Overall, it's a meh game, but since it was released horribly and that's when I played it, it gets on the worst list. Alright, so coming at number 8, this is probably the one that I'm going to have to put the "it's my opinion" banner over the whole time, because this one will be definitely the most controversial, and this one's going to piss a lot of people off, because I know a lot of people love this game and this series. Me personally, I love this series, but this game is too inexcusable and tarnishes the reputation of the great games that preceded it, as personally they are some of my favorite PS3 games of all time, especially the first and second one, and that is Borderlands 3. Now I know, red alert flying everywhere. Yes, Borderlands 3 gets on my top 10 worst games of all time, coming at number 8. Alright, so I'm going to get all the obvious out of the way first. The gunplay in this is great. It's just like any other gunplay in the rest of the series, which is awesome. Some of the best in any first-person shooter out there. The drive mechanics, in my opinion, are the best in this game out of any of the other ones in the series, which I've played all of them. And overall, this game plays and feels like a Borderlands game. The guns are great. The looting is fun. Playing around with your character's abilities is fun, and leveling up and creating this badass character is still fun in this game. But basically everything else has glaring issues. To start off, the main story is awful. This is probably the most insulting point of this game. This game feels like your character is not even in the story. So many things in this game happen at points in this game where your character is literally just standing there, like a robot, just standing to the side, like idly just standing like this, watching everything happen. Like, there's points where certain characters are in need of help, or there's certain things that could have easily solved everything in this game earlier in this game, that your character's just standing there doing nothing as the story unfolds right in front of you. And it just seems like they wrote this game to be like a TV show or something like that, and then they're like, oh shit, we should probably just make this a game, and then just plopped your character in to kill stuff while the actual story goes on. And without spoiling too much, the main instance where this is most evident is, 1, the first time the character is in the physical presence of Tyreen and her brother, and 2, when you're on the planet with Maya. For those of you who played it, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't, I hope I didn't spoil anything. Another main issue with the story is that basically every main character or side character you meet is insanely annoying if they're attached to the main story. I'm not going to name names, but there's this little blue girl about yay tall who's probably the most annoying character I have had the displeasure to see on my screen in a very long time. They also basically, besides anybody that was in previous games, basically just ruin any likability of the characters, besides the Jacobs family and the stuffed bear that's actually an AI chip. I forget his name. but they're funny and they're good characters. Everybody else in this that gets added in is really annoying or lackluster. The two main bad guys in this are twins. They're like twin gods, that's what they go by. And their whole thing is that they're trying to be all powerful so they can destroy the universe type thing. Very basic bad guy, good guy scenario. You're the good guy who comes in and stops them from blowing up the universe, possibly. That's it. And unlike other games, getting to the vaults in this, there's so many of them that it kind of just feels like lackluster. Like, I remember in the first game, when you enter that end vault, it was like awesome seeing what it was like about and like doing the whole vault experience with the vault monster and stuff like that. Really felt unique, and it had that you had to put time in to get to there. In this one, there's like 6 of them throughout the entire game, so it really just kind of loses its magic. And this game is definitely the easiest out of any of the games I've played, which is, again, all of them. The boss fights in this are really boring. They even got the GOAT's Penn and Teller to be in this game as a character, and their boss fight is literally the easiest boss fight. If you just strafe and jump and duck, you win the game. It's just, it feels like they put no thought into how these boss fights were gonna play out, because they're just simply easy, and there's no like hardness adjuster until you get to true Vault Hunter mode, which I don't want to play through this game again. So the next big issue with this game is the main bad guys. In other games, you had Handsome Jack, you had the Siren from the first game, can't remember her name off the top of the rip, but they were really good, and Handsome Jack is definitively the best bad guy in this game, and one of the best bad guys of all time in my opinion. He's funny, ruthless, and had an insane amount of character to make him really likable and really awesome to play through the game against him. In this one, it's basically like you got edgy Handsome Jack 2.0, which is the dude, and then you got female Handsome Jack 2.0 that has cringy comedy. That's basically it. It's basically 2 characters trying to be Handsome Jack and written like they want to make the next Handsome Jack, both done horribly. And all the writing in terms of through the story and all that, the comedy in this is dry and cringy. It's like they went to Reddit back in like 2005 and just like stole all the shitty jokes and memes at that time and then just threw them into this game just because they're XD funny and random stuff happens that wouldn't really happen there, and ooh, somebody made a sound and it was really funny. Like, the mission I'm showing you right now through this whole thing is a mission about you getting the Wi-Fi better so a character can upload danker current memes. Epic comedy, really funny, guys. Sorry if it seems like I'm going on so long about this game, but this game, more than any other one, pissed me off playing through it the most. Mainly just because I love this franchise. Not as much as Mass Effect, but Mass Effect wasn't nearly as bad as this, in my opinion. This was just insulting to play through. But there's also the side quests. They aren't as interesting as the other ones. There's some good ones in there, like the Coffee Commander, the one with the dinosaurs, and the monkey having like a battle royale type thing. The one where you're helping the little guy who got turned into an insect, and then you turn his friend into an insect as well. There's some good side quests in this game. The side quests really helped me get through this game, but other than that, it's very dry compared to the other games, is what I would summarize it with. Oh, and another thing that I forgot to mention before I move on is that the main characters that you have to choose from and play as in this are really boring compared to the other games. In other games, you had really likable characters that all seemed to have different personalities, and they were unique going through each game. Like, each character in each game felt unique in some way. Some kind of felt similar, but they all felt unique. In this game, it feels like 4 copies of the same character. Just one's edgy and has animals, one's edgy and has a mech, one's edgy and makes like cocky jokes, and one edgy and is the boring siren. That's how I describe them. So overall, this game gets number 8 for me because of basically everything besides the combat and driving. That part's amazing. Side quests are decent, but everything else in this game way undershines what this could have been and the other games in the series. mainly the disappointment is probably what gets this on my list and why I'm so mad about this game. But overall, what can you do? And hopefully they get better with the next one. Alright, coming at number 7 is another disappointment. PS4 seems to be loaded with disappointments, to be honest. I'll probably make a video on that, why the PS3 was better than the PS4 or something like that down the road. But this would be one of the examples, and it's Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Now, after playing Marvel vs. Capcom Ultimate 3 on the Vita, I fell in love with Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. The combat's really fast-paced, 3v3 action, or 2v2 in this game, which I didn't mind to switch to 2v2. But we'll get into that later. In the other game, arcade was really fun. I beat it with every character. You unlock a little like comic strip and kind of delves into like what the person did after they beat so and so. It kind of just like unlocks stuff, and like you got unlock graphics, and there was the extra mode with the robots and stuff like that. So in this game, they basically went, all right, how about we take the Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom combat, make it 2v2, and then put it in molasses. So it runs slow as crap, and they add this like gem system where you can like revive a teammate if they die, gain more power, like kind of like the X Factor in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which I didn't hate. The soul gem's kind of weird. I don't really like the reviving a teammate aspect, but other than that, I have no issue with the gem system. Main issue with this is the combat is slow and very dumbed down compared to the other games. The art style in this looks awful. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which is why I keep referencing that one's the only other one I've played. But the like self-shaded graphics look really good. It was clean. All the abilities had like cool animations. It wasn't like technically amazing, but it looked very clean and very crisp. And my favorite game mode in any fighting game is the arcade mode, and they butchered that in this game. They basically made it so you play through the arcade as a 2v2 kind of ladder, kind of standard. And then when you get to the end, you fight the boss, and then you get nothing. So there's no rewards, there's no unlocking new characters, there's no unlocking costumes, there's no unlocking like gallery stuff, there's no unlocking a little story. It's just nothing. You get a big fat zip for completing the arcade, so there's no point of doing it with all characters, even though I still did it. So for me, this was just a big disappointment, and fighting-wise, definitely the worst fighting game I've played on the console, and that's why it gets number 7. Let's come at number 6. This is probably one of the most universally hated games on this list in terms of the new games versus the old, and that is WWE 2K15, or this could be applied to literally any of the WWE, or this can be applied to any of the WWEs this on, because they basically ruined the combat in this game. They've taken away all the fun game modes, and they basically just turned this into the most lackluster experience of the original WWEs. The match selections seem limited, the roster's not that great, there's a lot of DLC characters, the story mode is okay, like upgrading your character is fun, but once it gets to the point where you're really overpowered, you just kind of one button unlock yourself from everything and win every match. The mode where you can like control the universe, I think it's called WWE Universe, is kind of fun. It's fun managing and setting up like storylines and stuff like that. But other than that, really, I feel like this game is really just the lackluster version of all the other ones. And mainly for me, it just loses its charm compared to the original like WWE SmackDown vs. Raw, or the ones with the TNA. You don't get like the theme songs when you're listening on the main menu. It's like We Them Boys Wiz Khalifa, which I'm a fan of rap, but I don't want to hear that in my WWE games. I want to hear theme songs from my favorite characters. And overall, there's just a lot of customization and like charm that were in the originals that's really lost in this game. There's not a lot I can say on this one. Just the fact that it just didn't feel like a WWE game to me, and I lost interest in this very quick. Alright, so next up is my one sports game I'm allowed myself on this list. I don't consider WWE a sports game, it's more like a fighting game to me. But either or, 2's not too bad for the list. But in this one, this is a 100% a sports game, because this is NHL 15. And this highly deserves number 5 on my spot, because this is by far the worst NHL game I have played. and I've played a lot of them. My favorite being 12. I find like 12 had the best between the arcadey style and the realistic with like the flip stick and stuff like that. It really kind of meshed the two the best. This game, as you can see, I bought the Ultimate Edition. So this game turned out to be like $130 for me. And the reason I got this game is because I was really big into the Ultimate teams at the time with the 2Ks, the Madden, all that stuff. And I really wanted to get the packs from this so I can play with my friends and really get in deep with the My Team for this year I was hoping to. But the main issue in this game is that they ruined basically every single game mode in this game, besides Play Now. The reason for this is that the My Team sucks. It was a bare bones version of every other My Team in any other game. Or Hockey Ultimate Team, HUT, whatever it's called. I call it My Team because they're all like copies of My Team. I couldn't play with friends. There was very limited offline game modes. You could basically just play against other players. There are very limited ways to earn like packs and new players, such as the Madden games, which offer a variety of ways to new players, to earn players like offline and stuff like that, which I prefer just upgrading a team with the cards and then playing against like bots at higher difficulties to earn packs or something like that. I'm not a player versus player. I'm not that great at these games. But also, they ruined my favorite game mode, which is the season mode or the GM. The reason for this is that they took out one of the main features for me, and that is the fantasy draft system. For those of you who don't know and don't play sports games, fantasy draft is basically you take all the players that are in the league, or you can take legends, and you can basically put them in to basically starting the league all over again. You pick a team, which you can't create your own teams in this game, and then you draft all the players starting from basically the best players, and you work your way down in like a snake draft. So basically you get a random team, you can pick your favorite players and create a team and then play a season with them, which in my opinion was the best thing about sports games, and I love doing it in the 2Ks, the Maddens, but in this game they decided, we're not going to include that. The reason why all this stuff isn't included, I'm pretty sure this was just a rushed port from the PS3 one, because this was right when the PS4 came out, and this game was already on the PS3, so I'm pretty sure they just quickly ported it to the PS4, and then just basically went, we wouldn't include these modes, and then basically just sold it to suckers like me who bought it on the PS4. So yeah, other than that, it plays like an NHL game, pretty decent, still prefer 12, but game modes in this are awful, and they basically ruined this game. Alright, so coming at number 4 is Thief. For those of you who don't know, Thief is a first-person stealth game, and this game was originally on the PC and is kind of hailed as one of the original like OGs of stealth, and really helped amplify the genre. Past just being kind of like a niche genre of games that not too many people played. And this one is kind of like a successor to the other ones and does it no justice. The reason for this is that the stealth mechanics in this are like as bare bones as they come. It's basically like you're in the dark, you're invisible, you're in the light, you get spotted from 95 miles away. The reason I rate this so high on the list is that this game, for a stealth game, is probably close to the worst one I've played. The stealth mechanics, as I said, bare bones. They're just not fun. The story is boring, and takes a wild, like way right field, like way left field, just way out there turn, like 3/4 through the game. Like you're playing through this regular game, and all of a sudden it's like, bam, aliens, and you're sitting there like, what? The guards and AI in this are brain dead. You can make noise. You can literally run across the entire street, then basically turn a corner slightly, get in the dark, and then everybody just loses sight of you instantly. And this game you can basically almost mill your way through if you want to, kind of like Dishonored. You basically have to zero stealth this. There's only some missions where it requires you to like fully stealth your way through, and in those games you'll have to actually like think, kind of. And this game's painfully easy. This is like one of the first stealth games I played through in a while, and this game was a breeze. And that was like when I first this game was like second year, I think, when the PS4 came out. I still breezed through this game no problem. It's just not a good game. Alright, coming at number 3 on the top 10 worst demos of all time on the PS4 is Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero. This game basically is not a game. This is like a tech demo that they released for $50. This is literally the biggest ripoff on the planet. Like, you know those scammers that call you on the phone being like, hey, I'm coming to fix your furnace, here, give me your social insurance type thing. This is basically that in a game. This game is literally like 20 minutes long, unless you do like all the Easter eggs and complete the same mission like 50 times over in different ways, ooh, type thing. Like, this game's awful. This game I don't even consider a game. It's basically a tech demo, as I said, and deserves no time on this list because I'm going to put as little effort into reviewing this as this game deserves, because they put little effort as possible into this game, which is just a giant ad to basically say, here, go buy the Phantom Pain, because you get a little tease of the story. And yeah, that's Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero. Good demo. Alright, coming in at number 2, we are getting to the cream of the crop. We already got bronze medal going to Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero. Silver medal will go to Homefront: The Revolution. Alright, in all seriousness, the main issue in this game is the frames. This game just doesn't work. Like, the gameplay you're seeing on the left here is all fully patched, fully updated currently. Basically 2 days ago I filmed this. And this is how it plays. So it's basically just stutter, 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 shoot while stuttering, then go to an area, have it like slightly freeze, load the area, then you continue, it's decent for a second, then you get into combat, stutter, 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 freeze, get into new area, load, freeze, repeat, basically. And this is another one of those games, just like Mass Effect, that was really good, and I think personally a hidden gem on the PS3, which is the original Homefront. And just like Mass Effect, they basically said, hey, you know what's popular currently? Open world games. Let's take our very linear story-driven game and force it open world. Shockingly, that doesn't work, and it didn't work. This game is awful. And it's basically just go to an area, do stupid little side quests, and find stupid little things, get your morale up in that area, do a story mission that you lag your way through, then repeat, new area, get your morale up, do a story mission, you freeze and lag your way through, rinse and repeat. And, you know what? I'm just going to show you a full, unfiltered, fully audio clip of one of the first cutscenes in this game. And then, remember, this is fully updated. I didn't touch this at all. There's no editing in post or something like that.
Walker. I can't believe it.
Others will rise up.
Walker.
You can't stop. Get the fuck up me! Get the fuck up!
Could you just enjoy that art that was just on your screen? Like, that's the entire game. It just stutters, the audio's off. The gameplay is sluggish. It would probably be decent gameplay wise. It kind of plays gunplay wise like Far Cry, honestly. But just like stuttery, laggy, and just not good version of that. They forced it open world, which was again awful because it just drags out the boring story that they put no effort into just because they thought, oh, it's open world. People love walking around, lagging their way through this entire game because people love doing it in other games. And that's why this game deserves number 2. Alright, I'm going to do an unprecedented thing this video for my top 10 games, is I'm going to include a honorable mention. And that goes to The Last of Us 2. What they've done with this game, and the spoilers, if you haven't looked at them, oh my gosh, don't look at them and just pretend this thing doesn't exist. If this came out before I made this video and I played this would guaranteed probably be at least top 5. Like, ways to butcher a amazing game series. Like, the original one is probably in my top, like, 15-ish. It was, like, very close to being the top 10 PS4 games of all time, but I mainly included it as a PS3 game because it was originally on the PS3, so I didn't want to put it in the list. But it's an amazing game. The first one's amazing. And just consider that the end of the series and don't even buy this. Pretend this doesn't exist. Alright, so now that the honorable mentions are done, we can get back to the main thing and review our number 1 worst game on the PS4. Let's get a drum roll, please. Bang! Lichdom Battle Mage. This might be a game that a lot of people haven't heard of. It's, I'm pretty sure, an indie game, and it's basically, if you took everything I said about Homefront in terms of lagging, stuttering, all that, and then just basically reverted all the slightly updates that they made to make it slightly playable, and then basically have your internet or stuff DDoSed during playing this game, this would be how this game runs. It takes a solid, probably legit 2 minutes to just load into the game, and then after loading into the game, you're greeted with stuttering, poor gameplay, and really just a boring story. Which, the main issue with this is that it has a cool concept, which is that you're a mage, and you go around like crafting all these abilities and finding different abilities that you like drain off people or leech from like these power wells things, and kind of craft them together to make different spells. That could have been very interesting, and in first person it has a different like view of using all your spells and stuff like that. But other than that, this game's just not good. The main reason for this is the stuttering. Like, this game is just unplayable. The load times are awful, and it's just simple fireball, 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 or whatever your current spell is. Just spam, 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 spam until stuff dies on the screen. There's no challenge in this game. Basically, just walk in a circle, nothing hits you, and you just fireball, 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 fireball. Overall, this game just doesn't feel like a finished product. I know it was from an indie game, so you're kind of expecting not as good quality. That's why I debated putting it number 1. But overall, it's just too unplayable and too much of an unfinished mess for me not to put it at number 1. Alright, so there you have it. That is my top 10 worst games on the PS4. I hope you guys enjoyed the different format. I'm not usually all into like the ranty stuff. I like ranting a lot, but I didn't know if it would translate well in the video. Hope you enjoyed my list, and if you agree, let me know. If there's some of my games that you saw that maybe would have been better suited for the list, or games you had played that would maybe fit on the list more, definitely let me know. Thanks for watching, and remember, everybody has some nerdiness at their core.